Skin diseases are the fourth most common cause of all human diseases, affecting almost 1/3 of the world's population. Despite their visibility, they are still invisible to the attention they should avail. Their burden is often underestimated. Talking about eczema, it is a form of dermatitis. In simple words, it can be described as inflammation of the epidermis, the top layer of the skin. Around 20% of children suffer from it, making it one of the largest growing and most common diseases around the world. Around 1 in 10 individuals develop eczema during their lifetime, with prevalence peaking in their early childhood. In today's video, we are going to talk about how this disorder affects a patient's life and their stories. So, let's get into it. The painful truth about living with eczema. Eczema is a long-term skin disorder and the condition often starts in childhood. A man named Ben Wong, when interviewed about his condition, said that for him it started when he was 5 years old. We are equally shocked. A 5-year-old kid having to go through dry, itchy skin is very infuriating for him as well as his parents. For Ben, this condition impacted every aspect of his life, from what sorts of clothing he could wear, to the foods he could eat, to even how he moved his body during a flare-up. Although the exact cause of eczema is unknown, it is thought to be caused by the body's immune system damaging the skin's barrier, resulting in dry, itchy skin. The skin barrier damage could be severe enough to break and bleed, exposing the patient to infection. It wasn't until recently that it was identified as an autoimmune disease, though it is not contagious. The disease impacted Wong's life severely as a teenager. It is very common for teenagers to have stress outbursts, but people with eczema can't afford that. They start to have severe flare-ups. Imagine trying to study for exams, but you are continuously distracted by how itchy your skin is getting, and then you have to walk to class the next day with all the red flare-ups you had from scratching. This was Ben's life. Even when he went for a job interview, he had to be careful not to scratch himself during too much in the interview because it might look unprofessional. People with eczema have to often make sure that their skin isn't scabbed or scaly because, unfortunately, the general public considers it insignificant and often mocks at people. For Ben, people would make fun of his skin and refer to him as a lizard. People tend to say it in jest, but they have no idea how much of an impact it can have on someone. For people having to live with eczema, the trouble doesn't stop at eating habits or the constant mockery. The disease indirectly also controls the kinds of clothes you wear. People with eczema describe the problem as wearing a sweater made out of a cactus. We can't wear wool. Cotton is the only material that suits well and doesn't inflame the skin. Even the bed sheets I have to use for sleeping should preferably have a high thread count in order to prevent skin itchiness. For some patients, the condition is so worsened that their t-shirts have all rippled necklines due to heavy scratching on the neck and chest area. Do you see the symptoms? Let's talk about what you are feeling. When people talk about eczema, they usually refer to the most common form, atopic dermatitis. Eczema, on the other hand, is the umbrella term for a group of skin conditions. They are all cause red, itchy and often cracked skin, but each type has its own set symptoms. Atopic dermatitis begins with a severe itch. The rashy and even itchier outbreak begins once you fall to the urge of the scratch. When the skin is inflamed, it can crack and bleed or ooze clear fluid. For most people, eczema appears behind the knees, on the neck, wrists or ankles, or the area between the buttocks and the creases at the top of the thighs. There are rashes all over that feel warm to the touch, and after the itching, raised scaly patches are seen. The other type of eczema is contact dermatitis. In this form of eczema, an allergic reaction comes into contact with your skin, especially your hands or face. Symptoms include an intense itch and then a rash, skin that feels tender and may be painful, and an outbreak of hives or blisters. Other variants of eczema are dysertic eczema and nuclear eczema, but the symptoms are pretty much the same. Many patients think it's not so bad and do not seek care. Then they end up suffering in silence as things worsen, and it eventually leads them to a point of desperation, and at that point have a much harder time treating their disease. So if you experience anything among the symptoms above, we would recommend you go see a doctor immediately. By now, we saw how eczema not only affects your food and clothes choices, but also confidence. It affects how a person might feel about themselves. Eczema can cause anxiety, embarrassment, and a lack of self-confidence. You may become enraged, frustrated, or depressed due to the constant rashes and the mark they leave after. The worst part is, there is no one-size-fits-all approach to dealing with this disease, and everyone has to find out what really works for them. A local from the USA, where almost 2 million people suffer from eczema, saw her son having his first flare-up when he was 12. She had to spend so much time working to find the right treatment for her son, she almost lost her job. It's not only this mother, but many people like her have shared their painful stories of living with the disease. Camille, a mother and grandmother, is suffering from this condition since childhood. Growing up with eczema, she felt very lonely. It impacted her self-esteem, and she worried about what others thought when they saw her scratching. Even now, it still hurts when she has a flare-up. On the other hand, Jalila, a teacher, compares her eczema to the game of whack-a-mole. She feels that once she gets a patch to disappear, it reappears somewhere else in her body. It's aggravating and can feel like a burden at times. According to a new survey, many people with moderate to severe eczema are unwilling or unable to participate in activities and socialise. This results in significantly reduced quality of life. Also, according to researchers, some eczema patients have a lower quality of life than those with a variety of other chronic health problems, such as heart disease, diabetes, or high blood pressure. Looking at how fast this condition is growing, there are a few people dedicated to helping people understand it better. In the UK, they have started their own helpline number. You can mail them at helpline@eczema.org, and they will get back to you in a maximum of 5 days. Other than that, authors Jill Jespersic and Sean G. Quatra have written a book on eczema and diseases related to it. It's called Living with Itch, A Patient's Guide. It helps people understand their chronic itch better and suggests various treatments to deal with. You can easily find it on Amazon. When you look at it, eczema resembles a war on your skin. It's like a bomb exploding, crowds rioting, soldiers shooting, then soon things calm down. Diplomats talk, but nothing ever gets resolved. Eczema flare-ups are like one facet of the battle. Sometimes it's an obvious reason, like I'm allergic to cats or I eat something I shouldn't have, and it acts like a powerful trigger, and sometimes there is no obvious reason. Sometimes our skin is all rashed up, and sometimes it clears, like episodes in a battle. You win the battle when you identify your triggers and exert control over them. You prevent yourself from their exposures, like in the above cases, staying away from cats or eating a bland diet. Beyond flare-ups, the eczema battle is waged on multiple fronts. Most of the time, only you are aware that you are fighting. You are the only one who cares. However, when you win, the victory is all yours. So whether you have eczema or know a person suffering from it, we hope this video was informative for you. Do let us know in the comments below about your story of living with it. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel to get more exciting updates, and click on the bell icon to be notified of our next video. As always, thank you for watching. See you in our next video.